Having to talk about this is tough. Migrant deaths more than doubled this year in the U.S.-Mexico border in El Paso, Texas, reaching the heaviest toll in the region since the public records have begun. 148 compared with 71 people in 2002. The majority of the deaths, more than 100, occurred between May and September, when El Paso experienced the hottest summer on record with 44 consecutive days in triple digits. When you look at what's happened in Arizona with our heat, the deadliest route for migrants, the El Paso sector, is expected to have the highest ever number of migrant encounters this year, on pace to top 400,000 and beat last year's record of 308,000. Deterrence policies and physical infrastructure such as walls and barriers will not stop people, according to this. The reason why I'm bringing this up again, here's an interesting headline, and it's a horrible headline, but I think we need to have a further discussion about this. The headline is, Infant Girl Dies After Nogales Border Patrol Agent Couldn't Understand Her Mother. So a 16-year-old mother told an agent that her daughter was almost dead and needed to go to the hospital as they drove September 23rd in a transport van towards the Nogales Border Patrol Station. The mother said she was unsure if the agent understood her. The agent later reported to CBP, their Office of Professional Responsibility, that he was unaware the infant was in distress until they arrived at a station and the mother spoke to a Spanish-speaking agent. It's difficult for me to believe, and I do not know what the standard is, I'll be honest. But I did have the assumption that if you worked at the U.S. southern border, you were at least bilingual. Now, they come in contact with people that speak languages from all over the world, but I would think that if you're at the U.S.-Mexico border that you would speak Spanish. I don't know that that's a requirement. Obviously, it isn't. But the headline that somehow this is a Border Patrol agent's fault, I just think is a horrible headline. You've got a 16-year-old kid that has a child that is making this dangerous trek in the dangerous heat, in a dangerous place with dangerous people. There has to be some accountability to the parents. You cannot make this mother the victim here. When you have, when your children have children, your children are still children to you. My kids will always be my kids, and they're in their 30s. My kids are going to be my kids. And, you have these conversations with them. And, when my youngest, I had a blowout with her about some things and said, hey, listen, you're not a kid anymore. You are no longer a child. You're a mother, which means, and she's a great mom. Both of my girls are terrific mothers. But you still, at some point, when you become a parent, you have a responsibility for another human life. It is your responsibility. Now, I'm not discounting the fact that if we are in a situation where we have border agents on the border that don't speak Spanish, I think that it hinders them from being able to do their job. But again, this is the dangers of this border and this trip. This is the dangerous journey that people are making. The cartels could not possibly care less. They could not possibly care less about this mother and this child. And this is the situation that we are fostering. This is the situation that we are allowing to get worse. This is the situation that we are ignoring. We have got to do something about this situation, and it has been largely ignored. I'm going to continue to go back to all of this topic. We're going to, again, talk, I think, at 11 o'clock. I've got it scheduled to discuss, once again, what happened with the speaker's position being vacated, and that we're going to get a new Speaker of the House. These are the things that the American people are frustrated by. I have leveled plenty of blame for the horrible policies of this administration and how much worse the border is because of them. And I stand by that. But you can't let Congress off the hook either. We are at a time in America where the American people, where you are hearing Mayor Adams from New York is headed to the border today. Mayor Adams of New York City is going to the southern border of the United States with a message for migrants. Don't come to New York City. That's what he's going to tell them. Do not come to New York City. We don't have room for you. He sounds like the governor of Texas. He sounds like our former governor. He sounds like the governor of Florida. He sounds like other prominent Republicans in saying, stop it, don't come. When you have that kind of, whatever the opposite political beliefs are and reasons why, the message is still the same. Now is an opportunity for the leadership. And, we talk about the Democrats running the Senate. Well, the Republicans run the House. And the Republicans have an opportunity here to get legislation, if they ever get a speaker next week, to get a piece of legislation moving forward that solves a lot of these problems. And you've got to get agreements. You have to get agreements on the Dreamers, and we have to get agreements on immigration reform, and we have to get agreements on border security, but you can get people to come together to do those things. And you've got to try to get something that will get through the United States Senate. But leadership is, these are the serious issues that America is facing. You now have a time where the American people largely are in agreement on the need to get something done. And this is a time to strike while the iron is hot and solve some of these problems. And we don't see any solutions being brought forward. What we see are fights over who's going to be the Speaker of the House, and I'm going to win, or you're going to win, and you're going to get booed, and I like you, and I don't like you, so you're out. It's dysfunction, and it doesn't look good.